Hi there, very good morning to all our viewers who've tuned into this live broadcast here on Moneycontrol. You're watching Newspresso with me, Stacy Pereira. And as the till goes, in the next few minutes, we're going to be giving you a lowdown of all the top stories from across the globe, whether CPI is going to come in more sticky this time around here in India. Also, the latest trends that are doing the round, which will give you an edge and keep you informed ahead of the others. So let's get straight to it and get you all that we're getting from our global dispatch. A positive handover coming in there from Wall Street as major averages close in the green. The S&P 500 gained about 0.6%, whereas the Nasdaq Composite rallied by 1.2%, and the Dow Jones to push upwards, mostly led by Walt Disney shares. Now, we did see investors buy most of those tech shares in the wake of that recent weakness that we're seeing. Tesla shares jumped more than 9% after Morgan Stanley upgraded the stock on Wednesday and Thursday. We're also going to see some macro data that is going to be coming in with the latest consumer price index as well as producer price index readings, which will be out respectively in the US. Now, given the string of stronger than expected economic data, which is pointing towards a renewed fears that the Federal Reserve could in fact go ahead and raise rate more than it was previously expected. And in the European region, where stocks did close higher on Monday as investors look ahead to a busy week of economic data releases across the world. The benchmark stock 600 index ended up by 0.3%, retreating though from its earlier gains. It was the mining stocks that were really drilling ahead this time around in the Euro region, with Anglo-American as well as Rio Tinto, both of those stocks trading higher on encouraging Chinese inflation figures. Now, most sectors as well as bourses closed the first trading session of the week in the positive territory. We did see investors now who are gearing up for the ECB's next rate decision, which is due on Thursday. The market is pricing in a roughly 40% chance that the central bank will hike 25 basis points to about 4%, but economists are predicting that it could be a close call. And Asia-Pacific markets too are edging lower this morning, even though we did see that tech-fueled rally on Wall Street, which was led by Tesla and Qualcomm. We're seeing in Australia the S&P ASX 200 falling by about 0.2%, reversing its earlier gains, even though the country's business confidence survey for August has strengthened to +2, up from the +1 it saw in July. If you look at Hong Kong's Hang Seng, that one too fell by about 1% this morning. And if you look at mainland Chinese stocks, those ones are trading quite subdued with the CSI 300 hovering near that flat line. Right now, the Korea's Kospi 2 has slipped by about 0.5%, whereas the Kosdaq is down by 0.69%. Barring the Japanese in markets, we could say, which is trying to hold on to some gains, most of these Asian indices are a bit under pressure. And to all the commodity cues that you need to be tracking, well, benchmark oil prices have been holding above that $90 per barrel mark, which it reached last week for the first time in 10 months, following that fresh Saudi as well as Russia crude output cuts that we heard of. Now, Brent crude rose by about 12 cents in yesterday's trade, hovering around that $90.77 per barrel. We did hear of the supply cuts, but those have been overshadowed, continuing the concerns from the Chinese economy, all the activity happening there. We are seeing oil traders now who are keenly awaiting the monthly report from the International Energy Agency, that is IEA, as well as the OPEC countries, which will be out later this week. Remember, the IEA last month had lowered its 2024 forecast for oil demand growth to just about 1 million barrel per day, citing lackluster macroeconomic conditions. And to all the corporate news from across the globe, well, in a surprise move, we did see Alibaba's CEO Daniel Zhang, who quit the cloud business. Now, this move comes quite as a shocker to the investors, as it had only been 2 months since Zhang had given up the other roles in order to focus on the cloud division. Now, there was no reason stated as such for Zhang's sudden departure, but in a letter to the staff, the firm said that Zhang will be setting up his own private investment firm. Now, Alibaba stock, we saw lost more than 4% in Hong Kong after that exit announcement. In a statement, though, Alibaba went on to say that the board of our company expresses its deepest appreciation for Mr. Zhang and for his contributions to Alibaba Group over the past 16 years. After Zhang's departure, it will be Eddie Wu who will be taking charge of the cloud business. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is on board a special train bound for Russia to meet President Vladimir Putin. Now, South Korea's media reported this yesterday that the North Korean leader is among the only few countries, in fact, who has been openly supporting Russia amidst the war. Now, last week, we saw Putin pledge to expand those bilateral ties in all respects in a planned way by pooling in all efforts. At the meet, both leaders are expected to discuss how Kim will be going ahead and sending Russia artillery shells as well as anti-tank missiles in exchange for Moscow's advanced technology for satellites and nuclear-powered submarines. And what a day it was. In fact, a magical Monday indeed for the markets here back home. So let's get you up to speed of what all transpired. Yes, we saw the Nifty crossing that crucial 20,000 levels, but finally settling at 90,996. The Sensex too added about 528 odd points yesterday to close above that 67,000 levels. In fact, if you look at the BSE companies, they added by about 3.5 lakh crores in market capitalization and is closely approaching that $4 billion mark. Now, it was the financials along with Reliance Industries, which was among the biggest Nifty contributors. And if you look at the broader indices, the mid-cap also continues to post record closing, ending above that 41,400 levels this time. If you look at the market breadth, it was clearly in favor of the advances, with the advance decline ratio at 5:4. Among the stocks you need to be keeping out on your radar today, well, that is L&T, which has placed its buyback plans and has gone ahead and increased it from 3,000 rupees per share to 3,200 per share. So that will be interesting to see whether people are showing interest in that buyback plan. There's also Reliance Industries, where KKR has upped its stake into Reliance Retail Ventures from the earlier 1.17% to now 1.42%. This after the private equity firm has confirmed that they will be investing 2,069 crore rupees more into the firm. So all of these stocks that you need to be keeping out in your radar. Let's also get you up to speed to some of the news from the startup space, where in a surprising move, we are hearing that Byjus, which is India's most valued startup, has offered to repay an entire 1.2 billion term loan B, or TLB as it is called, to its lenders, and this, it says, it will do within 6 months. Now, the company has proposed repaying about $300 million initially of that 1.2 billion loan in the next 3 months itself, if that contingent of the lenders accepts this amendment proposal. Now, reports suggest that the lenders are evaluating the proposed amendments and have requested additional information regarding this whole repayment. Now, this is the same term loan because of which in June we saw Byjus drag its lenders to a New York court challenging the acceleration of that TLB. It also skipped paying that $40 million in interest that was due for this acceleration. Now, we are given to learn that Byjus is also exploring fundraising from one of its earliest backers, that is Ranjan Pai, who is of Akash Educational Services. Remember, Ravindra holds about 30% stake in Akash, and we could see some offloading that could happen there. And to politics and to geopolitics, really, because we're seeing so much happen after that G20 meeting. Well, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Saudi Arabia Crown Prince, that is Mohammed bin Salman, met last evening in New Delhi, and they chaired a meeting to go ahead and propose the India-Saudi Arabia Strategic Partnership Council. Now, at the meeting, we saw both the countries discuss issues ranging from energy security to trade investments to defense, healthcare, and even food security. Now, Prime Minister Modi called Saudi Arabia as one of India's most important strategic partners. And after the talks, MOUs were signed between PM Modi and Mohammed bin Salman. Now, while ahead of the meet, we did see Saudi's Crown Prince also receive a ceremonial welcome by President Draupadi Murmu and the Prime Minister at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And addressing the media, we heard Mohammed bin Salman congratulate India on the G20 summit and said that the announcements made at the summit will be beneficial for the whole world. Now, if you are a tech enthusiast, then probably you'd know very well what I'm going to be talking about. Yes, it's the most anticipated Apple event, which will be happening later today. Well, the launch will happen at the headquarters in Cupertino in California, and we are likely to hear Apple unveil the new hardware, including the brand new iPhone 15. Now, the event is scheduled for 10:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And at the event, Apple will perhaps present a pre-recorded video featuring the company's executives about the launch of the products. Now, you can tune in to watch that launch event on the YouTube channels of official Apple channels as well as their website. This year, the tech giant is hoping that the new iPhone can boost its sales, fend off those renewed competition from Huawei, as well as persuade Android users to switch over. However, Apple's Mac as well as iPads are unlikely to see any new reveals. And for all the cricket fans out there, yes, there was much reason to cheer last evening as India secured that biggest victory against Pakistan by the 228 runs in the Asia Cup Super 4 match that we saw that was played in a reverse day due to rains calling off the play in the day earlier. Now, we did see spinner Kuldeep Yadav, who led Team India's bowling as well as clinched about 5 wickets, but it was Virat Kohli who scored that 122 runs as well as KL Rahul's 111 runs, which helped Team India to put that big score of 356 on the scoreboard and leaving Pakistan pretty much in dire straits, having to chase that high big score. Now, it would be safe to say that KL Rahul's sensational comeback century has reshaped India's cricket dynamics. Despite that 4-month hiatus that we saw Rahul take, he has showcased exceptional running between the wickets, also enhancing and showing off his fitness there. So there was a kudos to Team India, which will now play Sri Lanka later today. And well, if you know, I know that it's too early to be addressing the weekend and it's still far away. It's just Tuesday. But hey, every time Saturday hits, we do know we have that feeling of never wanting to leave your bed. Well, what if you say you could just stay back in your bed, and that too in exchange for money? That's right. Before you get all searching on what I'm really talking about, there is actually something called the Laziest Citizen Contest. You heard that right. In a village in Brezna in the northern part of Montenegro, this is holding an annual Laziest Citizen Contest, and the cash prize for the winner for this is $1,070, which approximately is about 88,000 rupees for just being lazy. Last year, the contest went down to a record of 117 hours, which was nearly 5 days of being lazy. But this year, the citizens have upped the notch and the laziest ever. The competition is already crossing 20 days, and participants are under constant care during this competition. They also have about 10 minutes every 8 hours to use the restroom or so, and to do other things like reading and use their tech gadgets. But this event has really picked up some interest because there were about 21 participants, and now it's down to about 7. So we have to wait and see who really turns out to be the laziest citizen there. Well, also let's get you up to speed with what you need to be looking out for today. It's a big day in terms of macros back home, where analysts are expecting the CPI inflation numbers here in India for the month of August to come in at 7.08% roundabout. And this, remember, is higher than RBI's target band. There's also the industrial production numbers, or IIP as we know it, for July, which is estimated to have grown by about 5.2%. So we are going to be looking out for those macro cues. In terms of corporate action, we are going to see some bit of stock reaction as well to SpiceJet, which will have to make the complete payment of 100 crore rupees to Kalanidhi Madan. This after the court has directed so. Remember, SpiceJet has to pay about 1.5 million to even Credit Suisse as per the court directions. And if to more court action, if you need to get up to speed, there are pleas that will strike down the sedition law, which will be taken up in the Supreme Court today. It is likely to hear this petition that was filed by retired Major General S.G. Wombakare, and this seeking the direction to declare Section 124A, which is the sedition law in the Indian Penal Code, which was back in 1860, as null and void and inoperational, as there are so many other things that it goes against Article 19 for that matter, as well as when it's read with Article 14 and 21. So all of that action that is expected from the courtrooms as well. But with that, it's a wrap, and hope this dose of Newspresso was useful and informative and gives you that kick start to your day. Don't forget to come back here tomorrow, same place, same time, for your fresh shot of Newspresso. From all of us who put this show together, thanks so much for tuning in.